we have the legend, the myth himself, Gary DeGrasse Jr. We met at EXPCon and in Miami just last month, and he enlightened us with what he does. He's been at EXP Realty, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, since 2009. One of the OGs here at EXP Realty. Frozen? Or am I
Hey,
frozen?
you're good
Yeah,
now.
you're good now. We're having you back, but you keep disconnecting though.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about luxury probate and his probate school, probate real estate training. Guys, I can't wait. If you want, especially if you're in the States, sorry, if you're in Canada, he might be able to give us some insights on how to call, how to do probate listings at a high level. But the program is actually in the States only at the moment, if I'm correct, Gary.
Over the years, our probate training program has been going on for 25 years, back when my father was running it before he passed away. And he actually did have a few probate students in Canada.
Okay.
I
Okay, great.
believe they were in Vancouver.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Well
So
then.
the thing with that is, even though some of the probate codes or probate laws will change here and there, um, where the rubber meets the road is separating yourself from the competition and
Correct.
winning over the client. So that never changes regardless of where you are. The easy
Amazing.
part is just adjusting for where you're geographically located, where it's a different state here in the United States or somewhere else in Canada.
Amazing. Amazing. And just to let you guys know, Gary's business is 99% probate driven. And it's hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate, all from this program right here. So guys, listen carefully to what Gary has to offer us today. So we'll go for about 30 minutes, give or take, and then we leave the last 10 to 15 minutes for a Q&A. So floor is yours, Gary.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you, John. I do have a lot to get through, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I'm going to go through it really fast because I want to respect everybody's time. But before I jump into everything, I just want to say I'm honored to be here with you, John, and everybody here that's on this Zoom or there live. It really is an honor. Like John mentioned in the beginning, him and I met personally at EXPCon Miami. We have a few mutual friends. One of them being Mr. Ray Marquez, who's one of my best friends and one of my business partners. He actually runs the luxury portion of our business. I do the luxury probate, and we do a lot of probates together. But John and Ray have been friends for a long time, and I was just lucky enough to be at the right place at the right time and meet John personally, who I think the world of. So when John asked if I would do this quick webinar training to just open up your eyes, introduce an opportunity that some of you might be unfamiliar with. Some of you might have some familiarity with probate, but the one thing that I do know is most real estate agents, at least 97% of the real estate agents out there, if they've done a probate transaction before, it usually just it came to them via some sort of a referral, whether it was a family member of theirs who passed away or a friend of theirs whose family member passed away, and you happen to have a real estate license and a probate transaction fell into your lap. So what my training does is it actually helps real estate agents turn probate real estate into a consistent source of business. And that's the key. It's not so much, oh, I've done a probate before, I know how to do it. Okay, great. Do you know how to turn on the faucet and make it a completely consistent, reliable, scalable business model? That's what we teach at the Probate Hero Collective. So am I able to share my screen, John?
Let me just give you the sharing capability
Yes, he
here,
can.
Gary.
Yes, he can.
Oh, he
Yes,
can?
Gary,
Okay,
go for it.
perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely.
All right, well, I'm going to jump into this for you guys here. John, just let me know that you can see my screen when it comes up.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go full screen mode here. So like I said, this is how I want to help everybody in the room there with John in person, those of you virtually signing in here on Zoom, how to truly recession-proof your business via probate real estate. Like John said, this is 99% of my business. I've been doing this since 2005. I started working with my father, and I'm going to get into that here in a minute. But the other 1% of my business are referrals that come from my probate clients that I've helped. They might have a friend or a family member who not necessarily lost somebody. They might just have a real estate need, and it's a regular real estate transaction. So the only type of business that I attract is probate real estate listings. I don't deal with buyers. I don't market for buyers. I don't market. I don't farm. I don't work expireds. I focus on probate 100% of the time. So just to kind of set the stage for anybody who's unfamiliar with the term probate, it's simply just, it's a legal process where the court oversees the distribution of a deceased person's estate. Their estate being all their assets, any debts, any personal belongings. And this process is to mitigate those assets and eventually pass that on to the heirs or the beneficiaries. It's a court supervised procedure, and it's just to make sure that all the deceased's debts that are left behind when they passed away are settled, that all the taxes, if there's anything that's left outstanding, are handled properly, and most importantly, that the heirs, the family members, are distributed any inheritance that the deceased wanted to leave them. And there's a couple different ways that that slices up. But essentially, in a nutshell, probate's just a legal procedure to settle the affairs of somebody who passed away, okay? Now, to tell you the probate story behind me, so this is my father, okay? This is my mentor, my best friend. Like I said, unfortunately, he passed away at the end of 2021. But for 45 years, my father was the leader, the nationwide leader in probate real estate. And he traveled the country kind of doing this, except there was no such thing as the internet or Zoom when he started doing this. But he traveled the country putting on real estate seminars, doing seminars for NAR, doing seminars for real estate brokerages, and just teaching and educating agents how to turn probate into an actual source of business. And he fell into this the hard way. Back in 1986, when I was just a little guy, my grandmother, my dad's mother, who you can see pictured here, she passed away. She didn't have a trust. My father was an only child. She didn't even have a will. So they had to go through probate. And my father was the administrator of her estate. So he had to learn about probate from that side of the table, not the real estate side. He learned it firsthand going through the process himself. And my grandfather did want to sell their family home, and he just wanted to move on with his life and go start his new life somewhere else. So it was through that process that my father discovered there's a huge opportunity here, because this is incredibly difficult, not only in terms of it's a different type of a real estate transaction, but on the family, on my father. He had nobody like himself in the world that specialized in this who could help him. He had to learn on the go, trial and error, try, fail, try to do it again. So it was through his own experience that he discovered there's a huge opportunity here. And then where I come into the fold, growing up, I was a basketball player. I played in college, I played in the Philippines, and it was just a huge part of my life. And my father was the biggest part of my life. And growing up, I took it for granted at the time because I was just a kid. I didn't know any better. I always had my father by my side. Every practice, every basketball camp, anywhere I had to travel for games or tournaments or trainings, my father was always there. And I received like the best possible trainings you could get, because it costs money for that kinds of stuff. And I didn't really realize this at the time, but my father only worked 20 to 25 hours a week, and he always made a high six-figure income, always, his whole career. He always won awards with the brokerages that he was at. He actually was inducted into the Remax Hall of Fame nationwide before we moved over to EXP. And all that's from probate. And he started his probate journey the year after he got done with my grandmother's estate. So it was 1987 when he started his probate journey. So when I got done with basketball and I needed to move into being an adult, like with like, a real job, I wanted the life that my dad had. I didn't want to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week grinding it out. I wanted to be present with my wife when I eventually got married. I wanted to be present with my children and give them the same type of opportunities that my father gave me, and just be there by their side through everything, through their whole journey. So I knew I wanted to follow in my father's footsteps because I wanted the same type of lifestyle that he created for himself and for our family. So that's why I got involved in probate. That's how I got involved in probate. It didn't just kind of, we didn't find probate and say, oh, this is an untapped niche. No, our family was thrown into the fire. My father was. That's how he discovered it. And I made probate my flagship because I wanted to emulate the lifestyle that my father had as a father to me growing up. So I hope you guys understand kind of the backstory to my family, myself, and why I'm so adamant and passionate about probate real estate. But to answer a question that a lot of you might be asking yourself is why? Why probate? That's a great story, Gary. That relates to you, but how does that story relate to me? Why do I want to work probate? So here's where you might be right now in your business. You're either a real estate agent or you're a real estate broker, and your current source of business mostly is vulnerable to shifting markets or the state of the economy, meaning are interest rates up? What's going on? Maybe you work expireds, FSBOs, you work your sphere of influence. Maybe you're a luxury agent. Maybe you farm a geographical location. Maybe you subscribe to Zillow buyer leads, or maybe you're an open house specialist and you bring in a bunch of buyers through working open houses. All of those are great. All of those are amazing business models. A lot of agents I know have a tremendous amount of success in those business models. But the one thing that is consistent with all of those business models, they're affected by the real estate market. Strong real estate market, you're golden, you're good, you're happy, you're a fat cat, you're closing deals left and right. Bad real estate market, you're on that roller coaster where you might close a deal this month or 2 deals this month, then you have nothing closing the next month. The beauty about probate is you don't deal with the inconsistent deal flow. You don't deal with the commission roller coaster, because probate real estate, regardless of interest rates, regardless of the real estate market, regardless of the state of the economy, as morbid as I know this sounds, but it's just the reality, people continue to pass away. And people continue to pass away that don't have a trust in place. Therefore, they end up going to probate. It is repeatable, it's dependable, it's the only consistent source of business that I have seen in 20 years in our industry. Now, the other thing about regular real estate that is unattractive to me is most of the niches are very saturated with a ton of, thousands of agents work expired listings. I know because I was a part of Mike Ferry when I first joined, and I was one of those agents checking out my numbers, making my contacts, making my calls every day. And man, the competition was fierce. Same thing with foreclosures, or if you're working buyers, or if you're working a farm, there's probably other agents farming that farm as well. If the competition is so fierce in just general real estate, probate's different. Now, even though there are a lot of agents that buy probate leads and they market and contact administrators and executors, the differentiator is most real estate agents. And when I say most, I mean most. 97% of them don't understand probate. And then the other 3%, they just completely avoid probate because in their own mind, they just think it's too complicated. They have some misconceptions about probate, and they just lack the knowledge of how to actually turn this into a profitable, consistent business. I understand those things. I learned it from the legend himself, my father. So when I'm in the field and I'm marketing for business, for me, it feels like I have no competition because the agents that I'm competing with aren't doing things the way that I'm doing it. They're doing things the way all the other real estate agents are doing it. And that's how you end up standing out with the prospects. And that's how you end up getting hired to list a probate home because you're talking their language. You're not talking general real estate language. That's a key takeaway there. That's how you create low competition in your probate market is by being properly trained. And that's what we're going to be able to teach you and show you how to do. Now, real estate, we all know this. There's wasted time on unqualified or unemotional buyers and sellers. Can you excuse me for a second? You have wasted time on unqualified or emotional buyers and sellers. We've all been there. I'm present company included, right? When I first started in real estate, my dad didn't even let me into his probate business for the first year. I was, like I said, a Mike Ferry agent. I was working regular real estate. So I know exactly what it's like to get all ramped up because you got a new buyer lead, but it just ends up going nowhere, right? Well, probate, you're always closing. You truly get to work the ABCs. Your leads are consistent. Doesn't matter about the market, doesn't matter about the economy. Every single week, I have hundreds of brand new probate leads that come across my desk and that go out to my agents. Every week. Doesn't matter what the interest rates are. Doesn't matter what the inventory is. Doesn't matter what the saturation rate is. Every single Monday, I have hundreds of brand new probate leads that I get to work, that I get to market, that I get to go after, and I get to turn into closings. And you have this opportunity too in your area. So here's just a couple of the key takeaways from the beginning portion of this. Why do you want to add probate real estate? Because you want a business that's not affected or determined by what the market is doing or the economy. You want an endless source of leads. Regardless of what's going on, you're guaranteed every week brand new leads are in your inbox ready for you to work. This is going to give you more opportunities to double end more transactions. That's one of the biggest things about probate real estate is you will have an opportunity to double end a high percentage of your properties. And we get into the details of that in the training. If I was to get into that right now, this training would go on, this webinar would go on for 2 hours. And then lastly, you are going to be in a position by being trained efficiently how to surpass your competition and feel like you don't even have any competition. So those are 3 key takeaways on why you really want to consider adding probate real estate to your current business. Now, this is huge in eliminating the competition, understanding probate terminology. I'm not going to get into all of it. Again, we'd be here for 2 hours. I'm just going to give you the key terms that you're going to want to be familiar with. So you have the personal representative, you have the administrator, or you have the executor. Now, what do those 3 titles mean? So the personal representative is the title of the individual who actually starts the probate process. They're usually selected by the will, if there is a will. If there is no will, then the family will nominate somebody to be the personal representative. They do not have any legal authority at this stage. They're just starting the probate process. But eventually, once they cross a certain threshold in the probate procedure, they'll be nominated and approved as either the administrator, which means the deceased passed away without a will. So if there's no will, the personal representative will become the administrator. They have to be approved by the court for this title. Once they're approved, they're going to receive what's called certified letters of administration. Think of those letters as kind of like a power of attorney, okay? And then once they get to the end of the probate, they oversee the distribution of any inheritance or assets, but they have to follow whatever the probate code is for that state and for that specific county, all right? Now, if there is a will, that personal representative becomes the executor. They still have to be approved by the court as that role, but they receive what's called certified letters of testamentary. The letters, administration, testamentary, they provide the same authority and the same powers. It's just the difference is distribution at the end of the probate. Distribution of inheritance and assets will follow whatever is dictated in the will of the deceased. And how do you know there's a will? Well, because they're the executor. They wouldn't be the executor if the deceased didn't leave a will. So to recap, will, you have an executor. No will, you have an administrator. Okay. Now, a little bit extra terminology for you. And this pertains specifically to us, the real estate side. You want to be familiar with the personal representative's approval hearing. And I'm going to show you where you learn about that. The reason why this is important is this is where the personal representative gets approved as either the administrator or the executor, and they receive their certified letters of administration or testamentary. It's those letters that give them the legal authority to sign your listing agreement, to accept a buyer's offer, to sign the grant deed at closing and actually close the sale. So that's important that you know that, okay? And then you have to know what type of authority they were granted, whether it was full authority under the Independent Administration of Estates Act or limited authority. It's really crucial that you know what kind of authority that they have. We'll get into that. So when a personal representative first starts the probate process, this is where it begins. This is called the petition for probate. The form number is DE 111. It's on this form where you learn the majority of what you need to know about this specific personal representative. You'll know if they're the administrator or the executor. You'll know if they have full or limited authority. You'll learn where the probate property exists. And you'll learn when their hearing date is to be approved as either the administrator or the executor. That date's important because when you start marketing and doing client outreach to one of these prospects, you're going to be doing client outreach for roughly 30 days up until that hearing date. So the way that we construct our marketing and our outreach is it's very passive aggressive. It's a lot of just providing value after value after value and really demonstrating our level of experience and knowledge and expertise in probate. So by the time they reach their hearing and they're approved, we've already built rapport. We've already demonstrated our value. We've already laid the groundwork that we are the probate expert and we're the one they want to deal with. So now asking for the business, asking for an appointment, closing for an appointment, it's almost like shooting fish in the barrel. You've already done all the legwork, and there's no reason not to do all that legwork in the first 30 days because they can't do anything legally then anyways. So you might as well use that time wisely, and we use it to build rapport, add value, and differentiate ourselves from anybody else who's trying to contact or market that prospect. So when the day comes that they're approved, you are head of the class, okay? Now, those certified letters that I mentioned, this is, like I said, think of it like a power of attorney, although it's not a power of attorney. This just provides the executor or the administrator with the legal authority to now manage the deceased's estate. They can pay bills, they can manage bank accounts, they can manage any investment accounts, and they can manage the real property. Now at this stage, if they want to make any type of capital improvements on the home, they'll have the authority to do so. If they want to sign your listing agreement, they can. If they want to sell it off market to one of your investors, because maybe the house is in really bad shape and it's not going to qualify for any type of conventional financing or anything like that, you can put that deal together off market and represent the investor and the estate and double end the transaction. We have a whole training on that as well, where that really gets you paid. But certified letters are incredibly important because nothing can legally happen until they have these letters, and they have to be stamped and wet signed by the county clerk. Okay. And there's another thing. There's another reason why these are important, which I'll get to here in a minute. Now, talking about the different types of authority, limited authority. I don't work limited authority. And here's why. Limited authority requires court confirmation. So if you list a property that has limited authority and you accept an offer, you got to run to the court to get that offer accepted by the judge, and they don't have to accept it. Now, that offer that was accepted, it has to be at 90% of the appraised value. The buyer has to put down a 10% deposit. So just right there, if the property is, an investment type property or a flip and has limited authority, say goodbye to your investors. They're not buying it at 90% of the value. They might buy it 70%, right? But they're gone. They have to have a 10% deposit. So say goodbye to FHA buyers, say goodbye to VA buyers. They're not doing this. And any buyer that you do actually get in contract that has on a probate that has limited authority, now they have to wait another 30, potentially 90 days, depending on the county, their court caseload, and when they can get on the court calendar to go to this overbid process, where the buyer's agent and the buyer are going to walk into the court and they're going to find a dozen other agents and their buyers there, all waiting to overbid on that offer that was accepted to eventually win the transaction and get the property. And then if after all that happens, guess what? If you are charging a 3% commission for your listing fee, the judge can change that. And they usually do, because their best interest is not yours, it's the estate. So there's just too much red tape with limited authority. I don't deal with it. I only focus on full authority. Full authority came into play in 1987, like right when my dad started, when a probate law was enacted called the Independent Administrations of Estates Act. So what full authority does is it allows the administrator or the executor to accept an offer without any court confirmation. The administrator or the executor is the decision maker. They can accept any sales price. Doesn't have to be 90% of the appraised value. Any sales price that the estate agrees on and the buyer agrees on is acceptable. Any deposit amount. So if you're representing an investor, like I'm closing one right now here in the Central Valley where I double-ended it. I sold it to one of my investors. I just had him put up $1,000 deposit. It could be any deposit you want as long as it's agreed upon by the estate. And then the best part, there's no overbid process. If you list a property with full authority, whether you bring the buyer or not, but if you ratify a contract, that deal is going into escrow. And as long as you have a smooth escrow, that deal's closing. There's nobody coming in out of the woodwork to overbid and steal that deal from you. Full authority is where I live. Full authority is where you want to spend your time. Limited authority is the old way of doing it, and you're just going to get caught up spinning your wheels. Now, talking about listing probate homes, okay? A little bit different than listing traditional properties. Now, the first thing to mention is when you list a probate home, you can't list it for your typical 6-month listing period. You only can list it for 90 days. And every 90 days, if it hasn't sold, you just have to extend it for another 90 days, another 90 days. This is specifically in the probate code, and it's in the probate documentation that is provided by the California Associations of Realtors, which is called the Probate Advisory. The rest of this stuff that's on here is all true about probate, but I also include this in my confidential remarks when I list a property. Probate sales are as is. Can the estate make improvements? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's an as-is sale. And I even include an addendum with all of my ratified contracts that it's an as-is sale. Any inspections are for informational purposes only. No request for repairs will be accepted. No adjustment in sales price will be accepted. It's an as-is sale. Next is in probate, the estate, the seller, does not pay for the NHD. There still has to be an NHD, but it's a buyer expense. So I put that in the confidential remarks. There's no transfer disclosure statement when you're selling a probate home because the person who lived in the property, who knew all the material facts about the property, is dead. So the person who's representing the estate, they might not know everything about the property. So they're not going to be held liable for anything about the property that they don't know. So there's no TDS provided in a probate sale. There's no court confirmation required when you have full authority under the IAEA. So I'll put that in my confidential remarks. If it is limited authority, I don't work those, but if you do, and you have a limited authority listing, just put in your confidential remarks, court confirmation is required. You want to give them the heads up. I also put in there that the seller name, when they're writing out their offer, you know, where it has the seller's name, they can't put seller of record. Like we're going to have to fix that down the road anyways. So I just put it in the confidential remarks, seller name, estate of whatever the deceased name is. If it's Susie Smith, I put estate of Susie Smith, comma, and then I put administrator, or if it's the executor, and then the name of that individual. That's the proper way to list a probate seller name on your listing contract and on a purchase contract. And then lastly, the estate, the seller is an entity seller. So when you're listing a probate home on like that back page, you have to check the box that says entity seller, because probate properties, probate cases, they're considered entity sellers. The probate case itself is an entity. Now, you have to put the name of the deceased, the state of whoever the deceased is, and the probate file, the case number. Then everything else is basically standard. I put all this in my confidential remarks. Keeps things clean, keeps the offers that come in clean, so you're not having to go back and forth with addendums to fix things and make them probate compliant. It'll save you tons of time and a lot of headache. Now, to close your sale, not as difficult as one may think. It's very similar to a regular transaction. Inspections, appraisals, buyer has to get their loan docs and the title. All that same standard stuff happens. Where it's different is the title company has to have these 3 probate specific documents in title in order for title to insure and close the sale. The first one is those certified letters that I mentioned. And again, they have to be hand stamped and signed by the court. You can't download it from the court county website or get a copy Xeroxed and mailed to. No. It has to be a certified copy, wet signed and stamped by the clerk at the county courthouse. The next document is called the Notice of Proposed Action. And I'll explain what that is here in a minute. And then the third document is called the Federal Tax Statement Letter, also known as the Comfort Letter. I'll explain both of those right now. So the Notice of Proposed Action, also known as the NOPA, this is a document where the administrator or the executor is legally required to give notice to any of the other heirs or beneficiaries that an action has been taken against the estate, i.e. selling the house, okay? So when you have a probate listing and you ratify a contract, what you have to do at that point is you have to take your ratified contract, email it over to the estate attorney, and request for the estate attorney to prepare the Notice of Proposed Action and issue it to the other heirs. Then what happens at that point, once the attorney issues out the NOPA to the other heirs, this starts a 15-day clock. There's 15 days where the other heirs get to receive the NOPA, review the terms and the price and everything of the sale, and now they can either agree or they can disagree. They either give their consent or they contest the sale. And they have 15 days to do this. If they do nothing, if they don't respond to it, if they do absolutely nothing, and the 15 days expires, that's the same as them giving their consent. But if they disagree for whatever reason, maybe they just want to be a thorn in the executor's, rear end. I've seen it before. They can contest the sale by filling out the backside of this NOPA and sending it back to the estate attorney or filing it directly with the court. If that happens, escrow pauses. Escrow pauses, and guess what? You got to go to court for confirmation. It doesn't create an overbid process, but now both parties have to go in front of the judge. The executor or administrator has to explain why they accepted the offer, because their role as a fiduciary is whatever's in the best interest of the estate. And then the other heir has to explain why they are disagreeing with the sale. And then at the end of the day, the judge makes the decision. I've been through this before. I've never seen the judge take the side of the heir who's contesting. Usually the heir is contesting just out of spite, and it's a waste of time, and they just want to drag out the escrow. But because of that, I create an additional protection for the estate that in the event of an heir contesting, it's already built into an additional addendum that I create with every deal, that if that happens, then the estate is not liable for any change in the buyer's financing, loss of rate, if they got to bring up more money to the table to close. The estate's not liable for that. And I put that in writing, and the buyer has to sign it. Because we don't know. We don't know if an heir is going to contest or not. We try to mitigate that, but who knows, right? Then the federal tax statement letter, also known as the comfort letter, this essentially is just saying that, hey, we've contacted, or the attorneys contacted the IRS, told them we're selling the house, wanted to make sure that there's no delinquency in taxes or property taxes or anything like that, and we're clear to close. It's basically telling the title company, you're good, you're free to close the sale. There's nothing looming on the estate. You need those 3 documents in order for a title to be able to close. If you miss any of these, you personally are held liable, and it can create lawsuits. It's a mess. So you just want to make sure that when you get into escrow, you have these 3 documents ready to go. You're not necessarily responsible to get all 3 in a title, like physically. I personally go to the courthouse. It's $40. I buy a copy of the certified letters, and I deliver that to title personally. I just like to make sure that that's done. And then I just stay on the attorney to make sure that the NOPA has been issued. I find out what date it was issued. My transaction coordinator creates kind of like a running timeline on when the NOPA should expire. When that day comes, we're reaching out to the attorney. Hey, today's the 15th day. Nobody objected, right? And if they say no, nobody objected, great. We need the comfort letter. And then we just stay on the attorney. That's your job, is just to make sure that these 3 documents make it in the title. Now, there's a variety of different types of probate leads that you can work. Okay, so these are the 4 that me and my team that we work. There's your filed petition. I showed you the DE 111. You get that directly from the courthouse, or you can have an online lead source. I have, in my opinion, I have the best lead source available. If you're familiar with Foreclosures Daily, you know, they're a big website, a big company that provide leads to real estate agents. My source provides them with their data, and he's pennies on the dollar, and it's the most quality leads that I've had. I've been working with him now for 6 years.
Gary, are these available in Canada?
I could double check, but I believe so. Yes, I do believe so.
Gold.
Yes.
Okay, just let's go to the first question here. What systems and steps do you specifically use to secure your probate listings?
I'm gonna get to that.
You're gonna get that. Okay.
I think it's coming up like right there. So I'm gonna get through this really fast for you guys. Okay. So filed petitions, this is future business, because once the petition's filed, you have 30 days to wait until they have the legal authority to sign your listing agreement. Pro per petitions simply mean the personal representative started probate without any legal representation, no attorney. I like working these because most of the time they make mistakes and they receive continuances. So I get to step in riding on a white horse and say, I could fix all your problems for you. I'll do it for free. All you're going to do is guarantee that I'm going to list and sell the property. Okay. That's also future business. Probate farm is all those leads I get every Monday, and I'm running my system and I'm working them. The ones that I don't get in contact with, they go into my probate farm. And then guess what? 30 days from now, I'll go back to my probate farm. And now I'm going to reach out to estates again. And they've already gone through those 30 days. Now they're already approved. Now they can actually sign your listing the same day if it works out that way. That's now business, your probate farm. And then lastly, my bread and butter is pre-probate. This is essentially someone's passed away and the family hasn't started the probate process yet. They haven't filed the petition. They haven't even spoken to an attorney. So I reach out to these families and I offer them all under one umbrella, everything that they need probate-wise. I could connect them with one of my attorneys. I can connect them with the fiduciary. I can connect them with the CPA. I handle all the real estate. It's all under one roof, and we can mitigate costs for them. So any upfront fees, retainer fees, court filing fees, publication fees, we can offset those so it doesn't come out of their pocket. It's paid out of the proceeds of the sale when we close escrow. Makes their life a whole lot easier. And then guess what? They're working with one of my attorneys who already knows and trusts me. We have much more control over the sale, and there is zero competition with pre-probate because they're already working with you, right? So those are the 4 types of leads. All of my leads go onto a tracking sheet, which provides on the top half all of the pertinent information that you need to know about the estate. And then on the bottom half is our silver bullet prospecting script. Some of our agents prospect, some of them just direct mail, some do a combination of the both. I do a combination of the both, but this is how we get our leads out to our team. Now, here's how our system works, okay? We have a couple of different ways that we generate interest and we peak interest and we generate actual leads by contacting the estate. There's cold calls. There's also online, like we run SEO and stuff like that, and people find us online. And my YouTube channel has brought me a lot of probate clients that have watched my videos on YouTube, and they've reached out to me and scheduled an appointment. And there's one I'm doing right now in San Francisco where the guy found me off of one of my YouTube videos. Or there's direct mail, which I do a lot of direct mail. I have this, you can't see it. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. I have this box right here. Oh, you can't really see it. Sorry about that. But I send out direct mail. However you contact them, it all funnels into our CRM. We use Bold Trail, okay? We have our campaigns. All of our follow-up campaigns are pre-built in Bold Trail. However they come in there, they're going to automatically start getting the campaign unleashed on them. They're going to receive scheduled emails, scheduled text messages, and then Bold Trail is going to tell us when it's time to send them another piece of like direct mail, whether it's a postcard or it's a letter. And then from all of that, it's just a matter of making scheduled live follow-up calls, because you're tracking them through that first 30 days to get them to their court date, where now you've spent all your time building rapport. Now you're going to turn them into a client. Okay. So the steps of the timeline of listing and selling a probate home: you have your filed petition. 30 days later, they have their approval hearing and they get approved. Now you go and you set your appointment. You're working these 30 days, setting the groundwork, right? So then when they do get approved, it's fish in a barrel. You've already demonstrated value. You've already built rapport. Now when you ask for the business, you ask to meet them at the property, you ask them to sign your listing agreement. More times than not, you're going to win. So these are the options that we bring to the table when we go on a listing appointment. Okay, we can offer a fast cash, like an investor flip off market sale. We have a fix up program where if there's minimal repairs, minimal things, maybe they want to do some paint, some landscaping, things like that, we'll actually front the money to get that done for them and then just be reimbursed out of escrow. We have off market retail. So in every county that we work, we're running online ads where we're generating buyer leads who are looking to pay retail for a property, but they just don't want to deal with any other buyer competition. So we're able to put together an off-market deal with a retail buyer and bring the estate a retail sales price. We have an inheritance advance program where if there's an heir living in the subject property, the probate home, and they don't have any money, and how are you supposed to sell the house and then leave them homeless? So we have an inheritance advance program where we can actually advance that heir a portion of their inheritance now. Go get it in like 5 days, help them relocate so the house can be vacant, so then we can go and sell the property. Okay. Then we have our typical MLS listing, which all of you are experts on. And then the last one, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to help people. We'll help them keep it as a rental, and we earn no money from doing that. That's just like, our angel wings are growing. If a family has the financial means to keep a property as a rental, more power to them. And I always think it's best to hold on to assets. So if a family has the financial means to do so, I'll help them. I'll connect them with the property manager. We'll help get it rented. I make no money for doing that. I'm just helping another human being accomplish something that is going to better their family, better their life. So those are all of our options. Now, this is a sample of what the probate leads look like when I receive them from my source. This is actually for Dallas, Texas. Okay. But you get all the information that you need, everything. All right. And I'm full disclosure, every one of you is going to have an opportunity to spend money today. And we all know us real estate agents, we love spending money, but what you're spending your money on is going to come with tremendous value. That's my promise. Okay. So this is what the leads look like. You get multiple phone numbers, cell phone and landline, multiple email accounts, everything you could possibly need to design your client outreach. Okay. This is an added bonus for anybody who wants to jump into our probate training program today. This is an added bonus. This is a system that I built. It's an app that I built where when you have your probate lead source send you those leads, like I just showed you, you plug them into this app, it's going to cross-reference each phone number with the do not call list, and it's going to label which one is on the do not call list and which one is not on the do not call list. And then what it's going to do is going to produce those tracking sheets for you. Each property will have its own tracking sheet. And if you even want to go extra, you can click another button. It's one click of a button. It's going to produce a property profile for each probate home. It's going to create comps for each probate home. It's going to create a marketing plan specific for that address and that market where the address is in, done for you. Email campaigns, text campaigns, postcards, everything will be ready for you to create. It's already done for you. So this is an incredible, this is an add-on to our probate program for our students. They pay a monthly fee for this, but for you guys, this will be included. It'll be a free account for you. And if any of you use YouTube, I use YouTube. I get a lot of my business from my YouTube channel. I built an app for you YouTube realtors out there, okay? And this also is an addition to the probate training. It comes with a monthly fee. But for you today, if you end up joining the probate program, you're going to be able to sign up for this for free. What this app is going to do for you is it's going to make it's going to give you inspiration on videos. And you don't have to use this just for probate. You could use this in your regular real estate business. It's going to allow you to create geo-tracking on all of your probate videos so you can specifically focus on one area. If you want to work buyers, sellers, expireds, luxury, probate, whatever you want to do, this app's going to create a bunch of different video topics for you. You can see right here as this is a recorded video, but you'll see right here, I'm creating a video and I'm just typing in right here what I want the video to be about. And it's just explaining the difference between selling a home in probate and selling a home in general. And what happens is you type in whatever you want your video to be about, and the app's going to create fully SEO optimized ideas of videos that you can create. All right. So it's going to give you 10. You go through the list, you pick whatever one, tickles your fancy. Like I picked the myths behind selling a home in probate. You plug that in to the script writer. You pick what area you want to focus on. You pick what kind of tone you want the script to be written in. And then you just click generate script, how long you want the video to be. And it's going to produce the script for you just like that. There's your whole script. The AI is trained. So if you're talking about probate, it's going to talk specifically about probate related items and probate related issues. It's highly, highly trained AI. And I use this right now for all of my videos. So once you have your script, you can copy it, put it into your teleprompter. You can plug it in right here, and the app's going to create for you a fully SEO optimized title and description, because you want to use keywords and you want to use things like SEO optimization, so YouTube, the algorithm, can find your videos. This app does all that for you. Okay. Maybe you need to create tags. You're going to want tags. The app will create those for you. And then what about thumbnails? I learned from Levi Lassick, you want to always have at least 2 thumbnails, because the way YouTube works is it'll push out both of those thumbnails, and whichever one performs better, then the algorithm is going to push that one out. If you just use one thumbnail, it doesn't perform well, then the algorithm is not going to push out that video. So it's fully customizable. You can see I'm uploading a photo of myself here. I'm adding the little white border that you see on all the YouTube thumbnails. I'm adding that to the video. And then you just click generate thumbnails, and boom, you have 2 perfect optimized thumbnails ready for you to download and use with your YouTube videos. So again, there's a subscription for this, but for anybody from John's group today who wants to get involved in probate training, this is included. This is free for you. So I'm getting into the end here. The key to landing probate deals is the terminology. We teach you legalese. We teach you how to talk just like an attorney. Because imagine this, if you're speaking to a prospect and your conversation mimics what they've already heard from their attorney, what is their perspective of you going to be? They're going to say, wow, John's telling me the same stuff that our attorney told me yesterday. Like he obviously knows his stuff. This guy obviously is a probate expert. You want to demonstrate your value and your experience as a probate expert without having to tell them you're a probate expert. So when I'm talking to a prospect, I'm not talking to them about their certified letters, their hearing date, the NOPA. I'm not talking to them about all this legalese to just like educate them on this stuff. I already know the attorney told them all this stuff. I'm only telling them this so I know they know I'm an expert without me having to say I'm an expert. So that is the key to landing probate deals, is understanding the terminology to a point to where you can talk the talk. You want to sound just like their attorney, but obviously you can't give any legal advice, but you want to talk about the probate process in the same way that they've heard it from their attorney. And that's what we teach you how to do. Okay. Now, here's the money you're spending. So my program is $5,000 a year. And the reason why it's an annual fee is because I'm constantly updating scripts, marketing. Like I'm constantly adding new programs and systems. It's constantly evolving, right? I'm sure everybody agrees. If you're not evolving, you're dying. So I'm constantly reinventing and evolving and getting our probate program. And I don't mean the training program. I mean our system that we run in our own business. I'm constantly making it better and making it better and making it better. So it's $5,000 a year because every year you're getting a different variation of our system that we use. You're using our system, and as that changes, you're changing with it. But when I was at EXPCon with John, I told him that all of the agents at EXP that weekend received a 50% discount, and it was $2,500. It was still for the year. I'm thankful for all the agents that took me up on that offer. But for today, for all of you, for John, there's a John Tsai discount. It's only it's $1,500. And here's the catch. It's for life. There's no renewing it every year. You're a member for life. Every new variation of marketing that we create, you'll have access to it. You'll have access to the YouTube app for free. You'll have access to the Probate Leads Processor app for free. You'll have direct access to me for free to help you create a campaign, to help you create a marketing piece. If you need me to get on a phone with a prospect to help you close the deal and get them as a client, it's your deal. You're not paying me anything for it. You're just going to have access to me to help get you through that step. But here's the point. Here's the point of that. If you bring me on a three-way call and you hear me close the client to be your client, you just learned what I did. So $1,500. It's only for today, 24 hours. It's John Tsai's discount. I'm very honored to meet him. I think the world of him. I feel like I have an uncanny ability to really kind of size somebody up right when I meet them. And John was somebody that I wanted to call like my best friend, like right away. Like the guy is just, he brings a lot of honor. He brings realism, and he generally cares about all of you. And he cares about just people in general. And that's the kind of people that I want to be around. And if I can help anybody that is associated with John, I'm going to help them. And I'm going to help them in the way that I know John would help my team out. So everybody has access to this today. The QR code is right there. You just scan the QR code. It'll be up for 24 hours. And once it's gone, all I can say is at that point, it'll be $5,000 a year. But that's it. I got it done. So we finished the slide training. I have time to answer any questions. If anybody has any questions, I can stick around. Just let me know.
Yeah, Crystal, you want to speak up, or Antonio, Akiko? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Gary, for that information. Question, your program, did you say that it comes with the information for the file petitions, or is that an extra subscription?
Unfortunately, because I don't control the lead generation, he's a third-party guy. I can connect my clients, my training clients, with my provider. And the beauty of him is he's literally the best quality for the lowest price. It's pennies on the dollar, depending on how many counties you work.
Is that information you can give us or connect us with?
100%. Yeah, anybody who signs up for the probate training program automatically gets directly connected with my lead source.
And what is his cost?
It
For
depends
2
on
counties.
how many counties you're working. So,
So
if you're just going to work one county, like for example, the Dallas leads that I showed you, that was just Dallas. That was just 1 week, and that was just a dozen leads or whatever he gave me as a sample, right? You would probably pay for one county $30 a month, maybe. I mean, it's very cost effective.
Okay, thank you.
Antonio?
Are we able to pay in like 2 or 3 payments, or does it have to be one payment of 1,500?
Let me talk with my admin, and I'm pretty sure she can configure it and create it to where there can be like a 3 payment program. I'm pretty sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Awesome. Akiko, any questions?
Yes, I just listed my property in Hawaii. That was probate. I took like 6 months to clear everything. So I didn't know that that property was need probate. So how can I find out easy way to, that my listing is property is need probate or not?
Great question. So is this a client of yours property, or is this
Yes.
it's a client of yours property? Okay. So the way you find out if it needs probate, I'm assuming the owner of the property is deceased.
Yep. The son asked me to listen. Then the mother and father had a name, but the father passed away. So
Okay. And the mother's still alive?
yes.
Okay. So if the father and the mother, if they didn't have a trust, then it's gonna have to go through probate. The father's portion, the father's portion of what he owns of the property will have to go through probate. So then the mother will have full ownership of the property. It depends. What you have to do is you want to check how the title is held. If it's held as husband and wife, then his portion will have to go through probate for the wife to take over full ownership. If it's held as tenancy in common, joint tenancy, then it could actually avoid probate. But in most cases, husband and wife will buy the property as husband and wife, and if they don't have a trust, then the father's side will have to go through probate, which the mother will have the complete ownership, and then you can sell the property. And if the mother's still alive, she would be the one signing your listing agreement and signing an offer, not the son.
It's a Hawaii system is similar to California.
It is similar, yeah. California is by far the most difficult. It has the most red tape. I mean, everybody here knows, like, our politics here in California, our court systems is just, it's a mess. So probate's incredibly difficult here in California. I don't mean like on the real estate side. I mean for the people that have to go through probate. It's just, it's horrendous. With that being said, anywhere else in the country, it just makes it easier when you learn how to do probate here in California. I teach you that. And then wherever you're located in the country, we just scale it back for whatever your state probate laws are and whatever the probate codes are for that county. Like, for example, I'm helping a woman out of Dallas, Texas right now. And it's so much easier in Dallas than it is in California. So much easier. But she's learning the California way, so she knows everything. And then we go and work in Dallas. There's just much less for her to have to worry about and much less for her to do.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. One question, can we join in December with the same price incentive? 2 people said that.
For you, John, absolutely.
Yazzer, do you hear that? All right. And reach out to, how can we reach out to you, Gary, on this call, people on this call?
So my email, I use my EXP email. That's the email that I use. So it's easy to find. You can go on Enterprise and you can do, the directory. You'll find me on there. Pretty simple. My phone number's on there. Everybody that's included in this webinar today, the lines of communication are wide open. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me. I would love to help you add probate to your business. I mean, I am passionate about this industry, but I'm more passionate about what probate has done for me in this industry and my family. It's, I mean, I work 20, 25 hours like my dad did a week. You know, I spend all those other times playing golf and running around with my kids and my wife. And
Love
it's
it.
just, it's the lifestyle that I wanted to have. And I owe it all to my dad, and I owe it all to probate.
And it's an absolute gold mine. Thank you so much, Gary, for your insights and your education today. And guys, scan the QR code if you haven't. And if you didn't get it, you can reach out to Gary on Slack or on Instagram or email. Guys, what a great call today. And once again, thank you, Gary. And for the Vancouver, you know, contact information for probates, we'll talk offline. I would love to talk more about that.
Absolutely.
Guys.
Yep.
Appreciate you all. Thank you, Gary.
My
Adios.
pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I'll just leave you with this, John. What I'll do is that QR code that's tied to your discount, I'll just send you that. And what I'll do is I'll make a promise to you and everybody who's on this webinar. I will leave it open throughout the end of the year. Come January 1st, I'll close it down, but I'll leave it open, and I'll get to work with my admin on creating that payment plan for whoever wants to go that route.
Thank you so much for your generosity, guys. All right. Thank you, Gary. We'll see you all soon.
Have a
Take care.
great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.